Stay with your brother. Is the pharmacist in here? I'm looking for 10 liters of Ligroin.
You won't get those stains out of that dress. Better buy a new one.
It's not for my dress. It's for my carriage.
Are you trying to poison your horses?
Do you have 10 liters or not?
I just learned about Bertha Benz story, and the story really resonated with me. She's really a pioneer that I didn't really know about. She was the first person in the world to go on a long distance journey using an automobile.
She was just so determined and so resourceful. No one was telling her to do these things. People were trying to stop her, if anything, and she did them anyway, and she did them well.
She embodies the spirit of innovation. So her husband, who invented the first ever gas-powered motor vehicle, was the inventor. But it was Frau Benz who was the innovator.
In 1886, Carl Benz was awarded the patent for what is now recognized as the world's first gasoline-powered vehicle. Bertha always believed in the potential of her husband's invention and used her inheritance to finance the development of the first 3 prototypes. Often she would join Carl in the workshop to help test and troubleshoot the vehicle's different systems. Even though Carl would occasionally test drive the vehicle, he had yet to publicly demonstrate that it worked reliably, safely, and could operate over long distances. Bertha proposed that a road test would capture the public's imagination. Carl, a consummate perfectionist, disagreed. He believed the design needed further refinement. In the early hours of August 5th, 1888, Bertha and her 2 boys quietly rolled the prototype out of the workshop and set off for her parents' house 107 kilometers away. Of course, there were no gas stations, so she planned a route that would allow her to purchase a cleaning solvent at local pharmacies to use as fuel. Despite the many other challenges, Frau Benz and her boys arrived safely at their destination.
So she's the one who took this patented idea and decided when it needed to actually be demonstrated.
She was not only involved in the development process, she was the one who decided to take the car out, go for a drive, And she was able to diagnose these problems and solve them in her own way.
When she was doing this test drive, she needed to insulate a spark plug. And if you didn't have electrical tape back then or all the necessary tools to troubleshoot, because you've never done a test drive before, you don't know what can come up, you kind of have to get creative with what on your person, could be a non-conductive material. So she happened to use her garter to insulate a spark plug in order to get the car back on the road.
During her journey, she found that using wooden blocks to brake and stop the car was not that effective. And so she decided to stop by a cobbler and made him design a leather pad for the brake and basically invented the brake pad.
So what Bertha Benz did is actually a lot of what you do on a daily basis if you deal with technology. You have something that you want to experiment with, something that nobody has ever done, something you want to build, and you go and do something with it. You build it, you experiment with it, and then it breaks, you fix it, breaks again, you fix it again. You don't have to be afraid of it breaking, and if you like it, you do something great.
Bertha obviously had a very strong personality. She was not only the so-called important wife behind an important husband. No, she was actually pushing to make things happen, to get through hard times and to try harder each time.
She was a survivor. She was a woman of wealth, and she spent her dowry. A lot of money was put into this newfangled contraption called the automobile. But she was the one that really promoted it. She was the one that got it noticed. Even after it was built and the patent was there and they began to advertise, nobody wanted to buy it. The public didn't realize what they had. It was she that put it on the map.
She enabled Carl to run his own company and pursue his invention by providing the financial basis. She invested both her inheritance from her parents, even before they got married, and her personality to make a technological breakthrough possible.
Bertha Benz and her two sons, Richard and Eugen, were proving the road capability of the newly invented automobile. This did not only reaffirm Carl's work, but also made the Benz patent motor car a success in the market.
Talk about moxie. These were roads that were just traveled by horses and carriages with deep ruts. And also, the automotive transport that Benz made had 2 gears. Those 2 gears were not sufficient to get it up some of the grades of the hills. So one of the things that he improved on when she got back was to create a 3rd gear so the automobile could go up hills.
If a problem occurred, she fixed it. She stopped at a pharmacy in Wiesloch, which became the first gas station of the world, to buy Ligroin, a cleaning fluid that kept the car running. Or at a shoemaker shop, to have him repair the leather on a brake shoe. She used the pin of her head to clean a clogged fuel line. She resolved a problem of an ignition wire by using her garter as an insulator.
We owe a great deal of debt to her because she was brave enough to get this thing to market. She was brave enough to make sure that people noticed it. And she was brave enough not only to conceptualize it, but do it herself in a long dress, probably in a very constricting corset, with 2 teenage sons as her associates.